Fluid coding and AI. A tiny reasoning model that is supposed to fit on a phone just hit a coding benchmark through OpenRouter's free route, and the result is not a clean win. LFM2.5 1.2B thinking is interesting because it is small, open weight, and reasoning focused, but in this tested setup, it did not pass the benchmark suite. The question is not whether LiquidAI made a useless model. That would be the wrong test. The real question is more practical. If a developer sees a free hosted endpoint for a 1.2 billion parameter reasoning model, should they trust it inside a coding workflow? By the end, the answer should be clear. Useful for experiments, maybe useful for narrow helper tasks, but not proven as a dependable coding agent from this run. LiquidAI announced LFM2.5 1.2B thinking on January 20, 2026. Liquid describes it as a reasoning-focused model intended to run fully on-device, with a memory footprint around 900 megabytes on phones. The model card lists 1.17 billion parameters, a 32,768 token context length, and a hybrid design with double-gated convolution blocks plus grouped query attention blocks. That is the pitch: small, efficient, reasoning-oriented, and built for edge deployment. The tested route was OpenRouter's free variant, Liquid/LFM 2.5 1.2B, thinking:free. OpenRouter metadata listed text-to-text usage, a 32,768 token context, 0 prompt pricing, 0 completion pricing, and mandatory reasoning for the free model. But free does not mean unlimited. OpenRouter documents low rate limits for free variants, including 20 requests per minute and daily caps based on account credit history. That matters because coding agents can burn requests quickly. Now the benchmark. In this Workspace's first-party report, the OpenRouter free model scored 680 out of 2,172 points. That is 31.31%. The report labels the suite as all benchmark suites, and every listed case is marked failed. That sounds brutal, and it is. But the precise reading is important. This is one run through one provider route against this benchmark suite. The score was not evenly distributed. All 680 points came from coding cases. The coding category had 21 cases and scored 680 out of 2,100. Several coding tasks received partial credit. The word counter and settings service each scored 55 out of 100. The notification engine scored 50. But none of the coding cases passed. Outside coding, the listed data interpretation, planning, quantitative reasoning, safety, source research, and writing categories all scored 0 in the report. This result does not prove the model can never write useful code. The report does not include full prompts, raw outputs, evaluator versions, retries, latency, token usage, or whether provider-side limits affected anything. The 0 scores outside coding are also hard to interpret without raw answers. They could reflect format mismatch, prompt handling, evaluator design, generation behavior, or true task failure. So the honest claim is narrower. Under the tested OpenRouter free setup, this model did not pass this benchmark suite. Liquid's own materials tell a different kind of story. They report benchmark strengths in math, instruction following, and tool use style tasks, including scores for GSM 8K, Math 500, IF Eval, and BFCL version 3. Those are vendor-reported results, so they should not be treated as independent proof. But they do explain the product positioning, a tiny model optimized for reasoning, heavy work. The local benchmark asks a different question: can this free hosted route complete practical coding and task benchmarks well enough to pass? Coding is unforgiving in a way that makes small model demos tricky. A response can look confident and still miss validation, edge cases, API shape, tests, or exact output formatting. A 32K context window is useful, but real coding agents quickly fill context with files, instructions, tool results, and test logs. Reasoning traces can help some tasks, but they also spend tokens and do not guarantee executable code. For a benchmark, almost correct is still often a failure. The practical takeaway is not to ignore the model. A 1.2 billion parameter reasoning model may still make sense for low-risk helper work, local classification, extracting fields, summarizing logs, routing requests, drafting quick reasoning steps, or pre-filtering retrieval results. Those are different jobs from being the main coding agent responsible for a working implementation. If you test it, measure it on your actual workload, keep expectations narrow, and treat the OpenRouter free route as experimentation infrastructure, not production reliability. Final verdict, LFM 2.5 1.2B. Thinking is technically interesting because it pushes reasoning toward small, edge-friendly models. But this OpenRouter free benchmark run is a warning label for coding agent use. 31.31%, every listed case failed, and no coding case passed. Test it as a small helper. Do not assume it is a reliable coding agent just because it has reasoning in the name. If this helped you separate model marketing from benchmark evidence, like the video and subscribe to Fluid Coding and AI. More small model coding tests are coming, and the important question is always the same: what actually works in a developer workflow?